Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Bulletproof Mindset, Scotland's #1 health, fitness and entertainment podcast. So today's topic is all about, can technology replace coaches and personal trainers? And not just technology, but AI. Now, in today's episode, I share some frightening videos that have just came out this week with regards to OpenAI and their new Siri function. Now, you definitely want to check out that part. All of the videos that I share in today's episode, you'll find the links below. And the study I referenced in today's video, you can find the link for that below as well if you're interested in going deeper into that topic. Now, before we head into today's episode, look, there's one thing that I'm going to ask you to do. That is, if you enjoy the podcast, if you enjoy the conversations that we have on here, then please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And also leave a little rating on Apple Podcast and Spotify if you listen over there. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So the title of this episode is, Can Technology Replace Coaches in the Future? Now, the reason I've went down this route, obviously a few changes with the podcast recently. What I'm going to do is every second Monday, I'm going to share some news highlights that's happening in the health and fitness space. And I'm really going to try and find out stuff that's more so happening in the UK. I feel like anytime you hear a study, anytime you hear something going on, it's always to do with America. But I've came across this article, which was of a study done trying to determine whether technology has the capabilities to replace coaches. Now, before I even get into this, I may seem a wee bit hostile today. So, as I said, I'm trying to think of like different content ideas of where I can provide value for you guys that tune in and listen to this and also watch this on YouTube. And I don't know if anyone's seen a video from the channel Jubilee, but basically they've got 5 fitness guys and 5 quote-unquote morbidly obese, and titled it as Fit vs Fat. In fact, I'll get up the title. So I'm kind of making my way through this video. So the title of this video is Being Fat a Choice? Fit Men vs Fat Men. And it's called Middle Ground. So they basically bring 4 of 4 onto the show and debate certain statements. And I was getting pretty riled up, only because I hate it when you see these videos done and they never really get an actual coach on the show. They end up bringing on these fitness influencers. So that is going to be a future video, but if there's any hostility coming through this, it may be because I'm riled up after kind of watching that, but I'm trying to check myself. So anyway, back to today's topic. So what is your thoughts? Do you think technology can replace us? The age of AI is an interesting one. I use some AI bits of software to help me with my business, from video editing to the podcast stuff, but also to do a bit of research on certain topics. Some of the tools out there it's actually scary how good and useful they are and how much time it saves. But there's this whole age debate, or this debate had came up at the start, where I think we've touched on this in the podcast before as well, where people were asking, why get a personal trainer now? Look what I can do. Write me a 3-day-a-week split. Blah, 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 blah. And it brings up a good point. I mean, why would you pay for a coach? Well, what's fascinating about this study or this article that I was reading was that they're starting to do some tests and comparing different groups. So this was Northwest University. They have taken 400 adults and broken them into 2 groups. Now, the ages of these people was 18 to 60-year-olds, so quite a diverse group. And they measured their whole weight loss journey over a 4, 6, 8 and 12-week period. And essentially, both groups, the goal was to lose weight, of course. But one group had access to technology, driving majority of the program. And the other group had used the same technology, but they also had elements of behavioural coaching. So this is an interesting thing, because how does AI and how does technology really help with connecting on a human level or humane level with all of us? Because I think we're creatures of habit, but we're also human beings who do seek that social interaction. And I think COVID was a big one that was an eye-opening for us. So anyway, they took these 2 groups of people. The technology that they were using was like the body fat scales, a Fitbit. They had a fitness app where you had your programs, and basically the way that this was adjusted throughout for the group of individuals that had no coach, if they lost anything which they classed as suboptimal weight loss, which is under a pound each week, or half a pound, sorry, they would modify the programs automatically to, increase activity and reduce calories to maximise the weight loss that these individuals were going through. Now, you could probably already draw conclusions to this, but it's a conversation that's going to come up more and more, especially in the fitness space. And for you as the kind of average listener who maybe not be a personal trainer or coach themselves, but may look to personal trainers or coaches for advice, you may think to yourself, there's going to be a period of time, it's like, well, why would I pay for a coach? So anyway, the conclusion of this study was that after a 12-week basis, the group of individuals that never used a coach managed to lose 2.5% of their total body weight throughout the 12 weeks, just utilising the technology and the tools that was augmented throughout the 12 weeks, which is pretty good. I mean, the average, if you take it, I mean, obesity it's not a number, or overweight isn't classed as a specific weight. It's all person dependent, depends on your height. But if we take like the average person, let's say, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of clients that I've had who would fall into that category, usually over the 115, 120 kilo mark. That's like three kilos, or so just about 3 kilos of weight loss in a 12-week basis, which is pretty decent for someone that is kind of just giving this a go at themselves. Now, how did this compare to someone who had the same technology, but the addition that they had was an actual coach in their corner to help them with motivation and the behavioural part? Well, it was double. So the percentage of people that had so the percentage of weight loss on that group of individuals who had a behavioural coach managed to lose 5% of weight loss. So again, this was about 6 kilos over the 12-week period. And again, there's no right or wrong, but I think it brings up a very, very interesting conversation or thing to think about. And depending on the type of person that you are or the people that you have in your life that are looking to lose weight, there is more and more money getting thrown at weight loss and trying to solve obesity that it's quite frightening. And I wanted to bring this up because we've made speculations and we drew conclusions to the obesity epidemic. And let's be honest, there's maybe common factors that we can all come to, but it's a very complex matter. And the more and more I keep thinking about this with recent articles, studies, fitness influencers, fitness videos, always talking about this topic, we're actually driving the conversation away from something else that's actually really important, and that is everyone's ability to build muscle. We're always talking about weight loss, and there's so many different ways we go about weight loss, whether it's a crazy challenge or a crazy program or it's a fad diet, and none of them really put a lot of emphasis on building muscle. And when you kind of look at what's like a trajectory of longevity and true health and fitness for a longer, healthier, stronger lifestyle, it's hard to do that with less muscle. And there obviously is the other extreme of this, where it's not about putting on as most muscle as you can, and then you have the bodybuilders. They wouldn't fall into quote unquote healthy either. But there is a fine line between putting emphasis on more people to build more muscle, and that would do better for a majority of our population, instead of focusing on the weight loss side of things. And the sad thing about this, I guess, this study is I tried to go deeper into it, and the what's the word I'm looking for? The data that was available, there wasn't any data to say of the weight lost, how much of it was weight, and how much of it was fat, and how much of it was muscle. There wasn't any information on what the calories were, or what was the diet, what was the movement prescription. It's all very like generic headlines. But it did then go on to say, and I'm going to read the quote out because I was actually a wee bit taken away with this. What is it? So here it is. So scientists are now trying to work out what human coaches do that makes them successful and how AI can better imitate a human, not just for a decision-making basis, but also an emotional connection and tone too. And I've got a little video that I'm going to share, and you don't have to be watching this because just playing the audio is so freaking scary, and I don't know where you're going to stand in this, but there is, as I said, that like the AI industry just now, I don't know what it's valued at, but it's almost like doubling from ChatGPT getting launched. I think that's one of the first companies in history that in a 21-day period reached I want to say $1 billion valuation. I could be wrong on that, but it was along those lines. But we're going to see so many more studies and research done on what part does AI play and what part does technology play in solving the obesity epidemic. And as I said, I think the whole obesity epidemic is vastly complex, but there's certain things that we can all do to learn from and try and make a good stab at it. It will be interesting to see where technology plays its part in that. And at the end of this, the goal of this study, it says here, it was reckoned it was to save money and encourage more people to start, because one of the biggest barriers with someone starting on a health and fitness journey, or one of the biggest reasons why they don't reach out to a coach, was their nervousness of interacting with another person. That's quite frightening. Social media isn't helping with this because we're all behind the screen. This is why people will say some outrageous comments that they would never say to you face to face. Or the more time spent behind a screen, behind a desk, or whether that's gaming to just being on social media and YouTube, the less social skills you end up having and the less confident you are in one-on-one human interaction. And it's quite sad. I mean, I can throw up a post that will be like, who's interested in coaching? And it may get a couple of likes, and rarely will people actually reach out, but some do. Now, if I throw up a post that gets people to vote anonymously, I can't even say the word, then that gets a good bit more engagement of people bringing forth their opinions. Now, it's funny because you figure this out in marketing as well. Like if I say to someone, click here, click this link in my bio, fill out this form and I'll get back to you, that has a lower conversion rate to me saying, leave a comment below or hit or tap this sticker on my Instagram story that will send me a reaction and I'll message you back. The difference in those two sort of workflow journeys is crazy, and where I truly believe it's people being a bit frightened to put themselves out there. And I'm going to play this video. So in the news this week as well, we've got OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, their latest update. So I'm going to put my headphones in for this because it's a wee short video. For you guys watching on YouTube, I'll throw the actual video up on the screen as well. And for you guys listening, you're still going to get the what the message is about here. But I'll leave the links below here to the article, to the study, and to these next two videos. They're only about 30 seconds. So this is the first video. And to set the scene, this is posted on OpenAI's YouTube channel. And it was basically, the title is called Interview Prep with ChatGPT. So they've launched their new Siri version of ChatGPT, except it's Siri on steroids, and you'll see why in a sec, right? So I'm going to play this video.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Rocky. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm awesome. Listen, I got some huge news.
Oh, do tell. I'm all ears.
Well, in a few minutes, I'm going to be interviewing at OpenAI. Have you heard of them?
OpenAI? Huh? Sounds vaguely familiar. Kidding, of course. That's incredible, Rocky. What kind of interview?
Well, it's for a software engineering role, but I just need to know, do I look presentable?
So I'm going to pause the video here. What he's done on the screen for you guys listening, he's just talking as if he's talking over the phone, and then he's hit a button that shares, it's like a FaceTime. So he's now got the camera facing on him and he's asking for advice on how he looks. Bear in mind, this is live. This is like real time. This isn't sped up. This is how quick AI is responding to his conversation.
I just need to know, do I look presentable, professional?
Well, Rocky, you definitely have the I've been coding all night look down, which could actually work in your favor. Maybe just run a hand through your hair or lean into the mad genius vibe. Your enthusiasm is what's really going to shine through.
I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to throw this on. What do you think?
Oh, Rocky, that's quite a statement piece. I mean, you'll definitely stand out. Though maybe not in the way you're hoping for an interview.
Okay, I got it.
So that is the first video. I've got another one in a little sec, but I just want to highlight how crazy AI is going to get. So we're now at the stage where it's not as if it's like Siri responding to like normal facts. It's actually making judgments, and it's got a bit of humour and a bit of like emotional intelligence when speaking back to the person there. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but in a world where we're already having a lot of people with social, like, let's be honest, a lot of people have social anxiety. A lot of people struggle to really connect with friends and even family members because it's been, I don't know, years that they've been just stuck in the house and utilising technology to not need to go out. So working from home is a big part of that, where we're seeing people on screens, on on Teams or Zoom or whatever it is that you use. And we're now moving into an era where we're going to have a little, I guess, a companion in our pockets. And I think there's good and bad to this for sure. I mean, it's nice how quick you can maybe get information and get fact checked. But the other side of this is, like, ladies, if you thought it was hard to get a man now, then it's going to be even harder in the future, because I can only imagine what that's going to be like for some guys out there who, look, I've been fortunate enough to coach many men through their health and fitness journey, and a lot of them are really lonely because they don't have a partner, and they maybe have like social skills that they're trying to work on and all this various different things. And some of them have been very open on what they utilize for like connection. So like you got like chat rooms, or you got gaming, or you got whatever it is. And this will be the new era of essentially you're going to have a bunch of men and probably women here that are not going to need or see the value in seeking out an actual human being connection. And it's going to move down the route of AI being the closest person in their life. So extremely scary stuff. And if you haven't watched the video, check the link out below. There's a ton of videos on it. Now, where I actually see some good utilization in this is there may be, so for example, if we talk about the language barrier and all the different languages that we speak in the world, how that translates and how quickly that can translate a sentence and how well it can pick you up and translate that to someone else it's amazing. It's honestly incredible how quick and how fluid it seems. Downfalls of this, like, this is where you'll have the argument for, okay, this is us moving into the world where you won't need a human being personal trainer. You can have an AI personal trainer. Now, honestly, I'm not massively against it. You might be going, how on earth can you not be against it? If it gets more people working out and moving, whether that's the right way or the wrong way, I think everything can be programmed. And if you have enough self-awareness, this is the problem, having enough self-awareness of asking for the right things, because it sounds like, well, you're not going to have an AI companion where it can't be overridden. So it's going to be, its whole duty is to please you and give you the answers to the information that you're looking for. So I know when I even train some of my clients, I'm like, okay, we've got 3 sets of this exercise, and I'm like, oh, can we do 2 today? So if I'm an AI, yeah, of course we can do 2. There might be other barriers that you can program in, but ultimately you'll have a way of persuading the AI coach. So yeah, that's one part that I see where it definitely is going to have a bit of value in terms of potentially getting a bunch more people moving and getting into weight loss, or understanding more about building muscle, getting stronger, having this whole health or this whole holistic health profile. But the other side of this, I truly think it's going to be, truthfully, I think it's going to do more harm than it will good. I think there'll be some good in it, and I'm not entirely against it, but I want to kind of throw some of my predictions on how it will evolve. Now, there's another video here which, again, just to highlight how crazy this technology is just now. So I'm going to play the second video. So this is a shorter video for you guys listening. Again, they've got the video camera on and he's got his dog on the table. Okay, now just listen to how the AI is responding to the questions being asked or the statements being said. It is pretty much like a in fact it is, it's like a human interaction.
I want to introduce you to somebody.
Well, hello there, cutie. What's your name, little fluffball?
This is Bowser.
Well, hello, Bowser. Aren't you just the most adorable little thing?
Yeah.
Look at you enjoy.
This is one of his favorite things to do.
Oh, well, I can see why. Look at that focus. Fetching balls is serious business for Bowser.
So on that, he brings a tennis ball in and the dog starts chewing away at the tennis ball. He doesn't say much on it, but the AI has reacted well to it. And it's funny because you can see how when us as human beings meet people, we are very over the top friendly, like, hi, how are you? Like, yeah, I'm good. And AI is getting that, like it's actually communicating that pretty effectively through that video. So yeah, if you think that it's not going to be as big as you initially thought, well, here's an example where it's certainly not going away. It's going to be a part of our future. And I think back to like my mum and dad, they didn't know how to use technology, or my gran and granda, they never had phones, right? They had a telephone where you used to twist the buttons. If you know, like you done this like little circle motion, dial 8, bing, goes back, whatever it is. This is the next thing that's going to separate us from the next generation. When I say us, anyone that's over the age of 30, like us, we're going to be classed as boomers soon, or I don't know, do I fall into the millennial category, 1993? I'm not sure, but I'm considered old. In fact, I'll tell you what happened this week with me. I went to a primary school and I got the chance to run a few fitness tests and fitness games with the kids for their health week, and it was pretty cool. And on the afternoon, I got to go into a classroom of 50 kids, kind of thrown out my comfort zone there, and speak to them about health and fitness. And I thought that was quite hard to do because the attention span of these kids these days, they don't really care about living longer or getting stronger. So I was trying to think how I can communicate that. But chatting to them about like different things, I was like, what are these guys? What are they interested in? And Fortnite, like gaming, YouTube, quite a lot of them were actually surprisingly into sports. I maybe had a bit of a misconception about maybe what's happening to the younger kids these days. And as much as technology is more a big part of their lives growing up, that wasn't really for anyone that's a similar age to me or even older, it's quite nice to see that the value of movement and fitness still plays a massive part. Because I asked the room, I was like, who here plays a sport? And I think everybody bar like 4 kids put up their hand. And I was like, who wants to continue playing a sport in 5 years' time? Again, their hands went up. And I was like, 10 years' time, hands still up. And like literally no one could envision themselves never playing the sport that they love. And I get primary 6 is like, what, 9, 10 years old. So I know that's when you're a kid, you're very naive to the world. But that was quite cool to see. Now, you might think, like, how on earth did you speak to kids and how did you keep their attention in that? And I'll be honest, it's hard. I got them to ask questions. The questions were some really good questions, some just kid-like questions. But one thing I think that hopefully made an impact on them was telling them a story about, or asking everyone who in the room can do a squat. I'll come on to why I've said this as well. Like, I never got everyone doing a squat. That was the plan, but the classroom was packed, and I asked who in here can do a squat, and most of them do it in their gym classes. And most people actually put up their hand. I was like, brilliant. I was like, who finds it easy? And again, all the hands went up. And I was like, who thinks they'll be able to do a squat in 10 years' time? And again, they all put their hands up. I was like, 20 years' time, hands still up, 30, 40, 50. When I said 40 and 50, some hands started coming down. So I asked them, I was like, how come you can't see or you can't imagine yourself doing a squat in 30 years' time? And they said, oh, it's because their mum and dad, they know that they can't do it, or their gran and grands can't do it. So already from that young age, at 9 years old, there's they're aware, they're thinking about the environment that they're in, and they're also getting inspiration or making judgments and making decisions based on what they see around them. And that's a big part of why I want to continue doing this podcast and why I'm in the health and fitness space. I want to show like a different side to what getting older means. And I'm just going to take this earphone out because it's weird to actually hear your voice. I was just hearing an echo in my ear there. Now the room seems so quiet. But yeah, like getting older doesn't have to be we lose the ability to do some basic human movements. But sadly, that's the direction that we're facing. And so bring it back to like the classroom or the primary sixes. I then said to them, so I've been fortunate enough to coach a couple of people and at the age of 18, 19 and 20. So just 10 years older than these kids. And I said to them that I coach these guys and girls as well. And in fact, some of them actually lose the ability to do that in 10 years' time. Now, why is this important? Like, you know why when listening to this, but essentially it was because of technology and it was because of the videos that we watch, the games that we play. And I could see like in some kids' faces, it was like, I'm confused. Like, how are you losing the ability to do that? And then the majority of kids were like, what does this guy know? So I went on to the story that I was like, who games here? And then started taking them through like my gaming journey and all this sort of stuff. That fired the whole fucking room up. Like, let me tell you that was quite crazy. People asking me what my rank was, what my KD was in COD, what games I play, if I ever competed in a competition. And that was quite cool. I must admit, I felt like a bit of a celebrity. But ultimately, I was there to help them think about health and fitness a little bit differently. And I brought it back to the same story, and I says that sadly, like as we get older, we're going to be faced with different opportunities or less opportunities to go outside and play and do the sports that we want. But if we have a weekly practice where we are staying active, whether that's getting outside, getting on your bike, running, doing some of these movements like squats, then we will keep the ability to do that for as long as we keep up that routine. And I think I could actually see in some of the kids from the questions that we're asking, I was like, hopefully that gets them thinking a wee bit differently. Now, it's always hard. Like, what age is an appropriate age to start talking to kids about their future? So I will see how that panned out. But that was a pretty cool experience this week, kind of being in the primary schools. And funny enough, when I had primary 3s and primary 4s and I had to make up this like wee fitness routine that we'd run through, and obviously made it a bit of fun, a wee bit of competition as well. But the first exercise was, of course, squats. And I got everyone to do slow controlled squats, 5 seconds on the way down. We paused for 2 seconds at the bottom, came back up. And let me tell you, the majority of people in these classes, there were like ass to grass, perfect, the most perfect looking squat that you could ever imagine. And they were coming back up. And even some of the girls and guys were like, this is easy, let's make it harder. So I was like, okay, hands above the head, straight arms, and like, still easy. And I'm like, okay, like, these kids are different. But there was a maybe I'd say about a third of kids that when I got them to put their hands above their head and then squat, you could see like the breakdown of that. And then there was maybe 3 or 4 of them that just couldn't squat at all. And this was kids at the age of like 7, 8, 9, and then I'd imagine some of the 10-year-olds in that primary 6 class was the same as well. So bringing this full circle, will technology help us in the future? I mean, I hope so. I really do. I think if communicated well and if utilised well, it absolutely can. I mean, if we think about, I'm wearing a Garmin just now. I never would have thought when I was in high school I'd be wearing a digital watches in high school. Like, you were slagged if you had one. It's like a pure like Spy Kids type of thing. And here we are, like every person that I know that is into fitness has a Fitbit, Apple Watch, Garmin, Whoop, you name it. Like, we've all got this device that gives us feedback and gives us data. And I think that's where technology has the power to really change our lives or give us different metrics and help us with our programming as we start finding out X, Y, and Z about the most optimal way to lose fat, build muscle, all this sort of things. But ultimately, the study that I brought up earlier on it comes down to behaviour. And I don't think you can ever truly change someone's behaviour without a human being there to coach them through it. And it's not just from what's said, it's like I can sit with no emotion in a session with someone and go, right, okay, right, we're doing this exercise next, here's how you do this, and communicate it in a quote unquote professional monotoned manner. I can then add emotion behind that, and that does change how effective the communication is on certain exercises. But then there's the part of like what makes you a person and what makes people like you and you like them back. It's through the conversations. It's being able to interact. Now it's scary that we are at a stage in life where that can be done through AI and technology, but I don't think it's going to feel the same. I really don't. I think there's going to be a chunk of people who are massively lonely that will use this more than the average person, and they'll maybe misunderstand that of, okay, like this is actually really good, this is helping me. I don't know. I don't see a world where that's going to massively help those same individuals. I think it's actually going to hinder their progress. It's going to make them more socially awkward. It's probably going to make them feel a bit embarrassed that they're spending most of their time spent with this AI companion. There's then the other conspiracy theory side of this is like, where is that information going? How's that information getting digested? How much of what is getting tracked in the world we live? But I'll leave that for your speculation and maybe some Friday night chit chat. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Like, this will be the first of many videos on this. I'm sure there's going to be a ton more research done, a ton more AI knockoffs, or if not better, I was going to say beans there, but it's not beans. Like, generally the world, like, there's a couple of, if anyone watches Joe Rogan, you've seen these guys that come on and they're like, look, the biggest thing we have to fear in our future is AI. In fact, it's Brian Johnston who says that. Now, Brian Johnston is the guy who is all about living way beyond his hundreds, and I think he's quite misunderstood. I listened to the Diary of a CEO interview with him, and it's something he says as well. Like, he's like, look, the biggest thing we have to fear is AI, and it's not what our brain thinks, it's how our body is earth, and our brain is this AI technology that has the decision to override how our bodies are feeling. And it's quite an interesting point. Like, we know that having a whole tub of Nutella isn't going to make us feel good, but the feeling of tasting it and like the short-term pleasure of that, we override and overpower our decision and then have it anyway, even though we know 20, 30 minutes later we're going to be filled with instant regret, or the challenge is not to be filled with regret. But like, we're human beings. We like, if you miss a workout, or if you be a wee bit lazy on one day, you kind of feel a wee bit guilty for not getting up and getting after the things you said you would do. And this is how Brian Johnston communicates about this. He says, like, AI is, if we truly want to live a sustainable life where we are living way beyond our potential, AI will have a part to play with. We need to show AI that we are capable of changing how we respond and react to things. So yeah, it's a very, very, very interesting conversation, but also scary. It's a very scary time. And look, personal trainers, listen to this. We are fighting the good fight, and we want to be on the right side of this. And I think you are doing yourself, or you're a bit naive if you go, nah, that's never going to replace me, because ultimately it's already like there's tons of jobs going out of, or there's tons of companies reducing their workflow, reducing their workforce, because they can utilize AI and become more efficient as a business. And what makes us, I guess, what makes people want to work with us and use our services, it's not the program, it's not the exercises. It might be the style that you communicate. It might be the style of who you are as a person and how you coach people. But if you keep going on, these are the best exercises to do, and this is the best, and you're just communicating more information, yeah, you're not going to stand well against something that can do the exact same as what you're doing in milliseconds. So, in summary, can technology replace the human coach? As it stands right now, no. Will AI be able to do it in the future, if not already? Yeah, I think it will. I think it will be helping a handful of people. Maybe, I don't know, I'd make a guess about 20% of the population can be aided through AI, but a good majority of people who truly, truly struggle with their health and fitness, they need that behavioural coaching. And right now, technology and AI isn't there. And that is the key for us as personal trainers or coaches out there. We ain't in the fitness game. We ain't in the gym industry game. We are not in choosing the right exercises. What fundamentally makes us successful is being able to change someone's behaviours for the better. And that's really the biggest challenge, or the biggest thing that we can impact in someone's lives, through accountability, through that emotional connection, the empathy, all human being traits that we have. But watch out, ChatGPT, AI ain't too far behind. So I'm going to wrap up the episode there. Episode 186 is done. So thank you again for tuning in today. Now, I want to know, before you go, let me know, what do you think about this? Do you think it's scary? Are you excited? Is there any points I've maybe missed completely that you think I should be covering off? Please, please, please let me know in the comments below this video. If you're just listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this, make sure you're following me on Instagram. Give me a little DM if you have a different perspective, or you agree, disagree, or just want to talk about what your opinions are on this. Follow me at Coach Crossar, or follow the joint there. I'm still kind of stuck in the ways of James. Or follow the podcast page, which is at Bulletproof Mindset __. And with that, we'll wrap up today's episode. Have a fantastic rest of your day, rest of your week, whatever it is that you're up to, and I'll see you on the next episode.